Good morning, good morning. Welcome back to Talks to Anthony. Today we're going to have a cyber conversation. For those who are new to the channel, we make mental health conversation content that's going to be beneficial to your personal development in addition to your well-being. However, today we're going to be talking about the 4 C's of mental health, right? So we have coping, clarity, courage, and compassion, right? So mental health grows when we build the right skills, one choice at a time, right? So we choose how to respond. We choose what we want to do. We choose about how we're going to, go about our situation, right? So when it comes to research insights, mental health well-being improves when individuals learn practical coping and self-regulation skills, according to the APA. In addition to that, too, clear, structured frameworks make mental health strategies easier to apply consistently, right? So when we have the skills, we know what to do, we know what works for us, we know what's going to work, right? Things become more effective, efficient, and life becomes a little bit much more better for us with those improved skills. So stick with me, grow with me. We're going to be able to navigate throughout this video. However, in our first segment, we're going to be talking about coping, right? So managing stress in healthy ways, right? So we know what's wrong, we know what's right, but if we know what's right, let's do what's right. You feel me? So coping skills matter. So healthier coping reduces stress and emotional overload, according to the CDC. So I really want to take consideration that we need to have coping skills, because this is going to be able to help us in moments of distress, moments when we're down and out. Resilience, like I said, life doesn't get any realer, right? So there may be one day you wake up and you get a call or something happens to you, but how are you going to deal with it? Or you go to work and someone's out here projecting on you, how you going to blow up, lose your job. Life is life. We have to have the ways and how we go about things and really rationalize and have critical thinking, right, before we just make a decision and we have some outcomes that we don't anticipate to be, right? So coping skills do matter. But moving forward, we're going to be talking about not all coping is equal, right? So avoidance may feel helpful short term, but increases self-stress over time, right? So I want to take into consideration being passive aggressive, being procrastination, just putting things off, right? Not really suiting our needs, not really putting ourselves first, causes us to feel inadequate, and that stress will come in some shape or form. Gotta be real with you. Next is going to be the active strategies, right? So we have breathing techniques, we have movement, working out, right? Or we have problem solving to support, emotional regulation. We have therapists, we have social workers to be able to sit down with you and assess whatever your situation is with a harmonious, right? So do no harm mindset with no judgment, right? And just allowing you to express whatever the situation is and really looking at it in a way to rationalize for you to have those proactive outcomes that you anticipate, right? With the skills as we're talking about. Next, we're going to talk about build a toolbox, right? So multi-coping options increase that resilience. So we're looking at things that work for you, right? Having multiple options. You always want to give yourself options, right? So if you ain't feel like doing the breathing technique, you have something else, right? If you ain't feel like taking a walk, you can do something else, right? You can do art, you can paint, you can have a paint knife for yourself. Different things that can be able to work for you, right? So everybody's different. And also too, I also want you to be optimistic, be open, try something new, right? That can really be able to help you get into your creative side. For someone that didn't even do yoga before, imagine doing a yoga class. I even heard they have hot yoga, so you can be like a steamy type of sauna type of environment. There's so many different things out there, but by having a closed off box in mindset, you're limiting yourself to growth. You're limiting yourself to of experiences as well. So I want us to also include that in regards to our building that toolbox to be able to help us increase our resilience, how we're going to navigate through different situations. We got to have these self-care references, but we also got to have skills and coping skills for ourselves to manage in healthy ways. Next segment, let's dive into clarity, right? These are all the C's, the 4 C's, right? So next we're going to be talking about that clarity, right? So understanding thoughts and emotions, right? So we have emotional awareness, right? So recognizing our emotions support better decision making, right? Some of us avoid our emotions, and then we get into situations that cause us to be worse, destructive, right? Or even situations that we don't even anticipate in, right? So we need to have emotional awareness, emotional regulation to be able to help us navigate through that distress, right? Next, we're going to be talking about thoughts, feeling connections, right? So understanding thought patterns, reduce that anxiety. That's why I always advocate for having, a journal, get yourself a pencil, paper, do what you got to do, right? But you got to write down, you got to vent, get these emotions out, write the date, write the time, and we'll get into it to be able to help us regulate our emotions, and even having the tracking to be able to see what's going on in regards to these patterns and how we're feeling. Next is going to be reduce mental noise, right? So reflection and mindfulness improves focus in our calmness, right? So helping us regulate our nervous system. That's why it's important for us to have that solitude, get away from the noise, get away from distractions, get away from the people that make us feel tore up from the floor, right? And finding areas that are going to be conducive, giving us peace of mind, right? So taking a walk, getting into nature, going near banks of water, a lake, whatever it's going to be for us to be able to get our mind relaxed into a neutral state where we have peace. And like I said, peace is something that you can't put a dollar amount on. It's something that we all can get, but we got to be proactive with it, right? So doing these reflections and getting ourselves, like I said, around conducive environments could be beneficial. So reducing that mental noise. Next is going to be clarity creates choice, right? So awareness is something that's going to be able to help us, allow us to be into attentional spaces, right? And responding instead of just giving off those reactions, right? So clarity is something that's going to be able to help us making proactive choices and rationalizing before making unrational decisions. Next segment, we're going to be talking about that courage in regards to the fourth C is facing challenges and discomfort, right? So sometimes this is what we may endure. However, we're able to still navigate through with that positive mindset in regards to that courage. So courage isn't fearless. It's about, acting despite of discomfort. We're able to still endure the situation, empower ourselves, right? And be fearless, right? By just, adapting. Next, we're going to be talking about growth through effort, right? So facing challenges builds the confidence and that resilience, right? So as we're navigating through, having a growth mindset, a learning mindset, right? Positive mindset, we're still going to be able to persevere. And this builds that confidence, makes us feel adequate, makes us understand that we went through so much, but we're still here. We're still strong, right? We still, we still hold, we still love ourselves, right? So, growth is something that's going to help us through with that effort as well. Next is going to be small steps count, right? So don't look at the big picture. You don't got to have everything down packed, but it's about being present. It's about, worrying about the small steps, doing what you can do today, right? And gradually those actions will pick up and it will strengthen that emotional tolerance. And then before you know it, the big picture, you can kick your feet up and on to the next task, next, goal, right? So start small, but hold yourself accountable and be consistent and be courageous in regards to what you put your mind to. Next is going to be avoidance feeds anxiety, right? So the more you procrastinate, the more that you just, put your obligations and your duties aside, it only creates a spiral effect of just making yourself feel more tore up from the floor, giving yourself that anxiety. So I want you guys to break that by trying to do what you got to do, right? So prioritize what's important and then navigate through that list. However, avoidance feeds that anxiety. So courage interrupts the fear cycle. So I'm asking you guys to do what you gotta do and be courageous. You heard? The fourth segment, we're gonna be talking about that compassion, right? So this is the 4 C's as mentioned. So this is gonna be the last one, you heard? So supporting yourself and others, like I said, by loving yourself, you're loving others, and by loving others, you're loving yourself, right? So I really want you guys to take that in consideration in regards to that self-compassion, and it also reduces stress, right? So kind self-talk improves, emotional regulation. I also want to mention in this video too, I know you guys heard this, but if not, the power of the tongue, right? So the power of the tongue is really something that we got to take in consideration because it can either cause destruction and cause harm, not just to ourselves, but others as well. But it also is something that, by speaking those positive and those, affirmations and that compassion is able to help, rewire our mind with that neuroplasticity and uplift us and uplift others as well. So this is something that can really bring glory to people. So be kind to yourself, be kind to others, love yourself. It don't cost too much to be nice, you heard? Give someone a compliment, keep it smooth, but keep it spontaneous and keep it loving, you heard? And make someone smile, make yourself smile. Be joyful and be compassionate, right? But next, we're going to be talking about that connection matters, right? So compassion strengthens, relationships and support systems. So we need to be interacting with people. We need people. We humans, right? We gotta have, and build connections. Next is going to be the balance, accountability with kindness, right? So growth happens without that self-criticism, right? So move away from the doubt, move away from the negative self-talk and be more empowering yourself. Like I said, that courage word earlier, and just be more loving. Try your best to accept walking to this individual that is trying to improve their way into, being more compassionate, right? Be more loving, be more kind to yourself. And this is going to be something that's going to strengthen yourself, but also strengthen those relationships as you're engaging with other people. So forget about the self-criticism. If it ain't going to help you, leave it. I ain't even going to listen to you no more. You feel me? And move towards the positive side. It's really going to be able to help you get to the side that you need to be on in regards to that big picture as you're navigating through with the little steps. That's going to be able to pour into you, then take away and make you feel down and down and out, right? I don't want you to be burned and tore from the flow up. So let's use this compassion, let's use this kindness, let's use this positivity to help us navigate through on a consistent note to build ourselves up. Protective factors, right? So compassion buffers against burnout and anxiety, right? So like I said, once again, utilize, being kind to yourself to be able to improve yourself in addition to relationships with others as well, right? So pushing this video to a close, I really want to take consideration that using the 4 C's every day is going to be able to help us navigate through our life, right? So, when it comes to research, let me just dive right into that, right? Combining coping awareness, action, and self-kindness strengthens long-term mental health and that well-being. In addition to the 4 C's, are able to promote sustainability in regards to our mental health habits rather than just those quick fixes, right? So instead of just diving into things that are just going to be able to give us the internal and the quick, pleasure, whatever, right? It's good to have moderation. Don't get it twisted. Have your little fun, whatever. But this is something that's going to help you have sustainable mental health and maintaining that, right? So coping helps us manage, right? In addition to that clarity, which is going to help us get more understanding in regards to ourselves and what we got going on. But courage also helps us grow, and that compassion also helps us heal, right? So there's different attributes that we talked about today. If you found it was beneficial, give it a thumbs up, share it possible, and I'll see you on the next one. Stay blessed and stay loving. Take it easy.